Good evening from HTV. The battle against vandalism and crime on a Somerset estate entered a new phase today. Several closed-circuit television cameras were switched on at Bridgwater's Sydenham estate. It's part of an £8 million regeneration project.
It gives me great pleasure to declare the CCT scheme open, and I'll now press the button.
At last, protection for Sydenham. 5 closed-circuit cameras are on duty, taking the pressure off traders besieged by vandals. It's hoped the eyes in the sky will put paid to intimidation that's driven some shopkeepers to pull down the shutters for good. Pictures are relayed to a control room in Bridgwater, and they can be sent straight to police. The cameras are part of an £8 million investment in the estate. It's putting a smile back on people's faces.
Well, yeah, you feel safer, I should think, in this day and age, shouldn't you?
Right, it's a good idea they should have them years ago. The rate of youth unemployment on this estate is 40%, and we've obviously got to reduce that so the young people value what they earn, and that's what really regeneration is about, actually them then putting their earnings back into their community.
In George Orwell's 1984, he warned of the dangers of Big Brother watching over us, but no one here is complaining of an erosion of civil liberties. The people on the Sydenham estate will tell you of the dangers of someone not watching out for them. David Woodland, HTV News, Bridgwater.
Bristol's soccer boss John Ward is now looking for a new job. After months of speculation, a 6-minute meeting with club vice-chairman Jeff Dunford told him his contract isn't being renewed.
Perhaps he knew, perhaps he didn't, but last Saturday's final match of the season proved to be the end of an era in more ways than one for Bristol Rovers. Many expected him to leave for relegated Watford, but this morning's decision by the board not to renew his contract has preempted that. Speaking to HTV, Ward said, "I did not resign, I've been sacked. I went in today with my contract signed, but I was told the club would not be renewing it. I'm bitterly disappointed." For their part, the only comment from the club has been a brief statement thanking Ward for his work. But Ward's success has made him a target, and though the board weren't prepared to talk to the cameras today, it's understood they weren't convinced he was prepared to commit himself long-term to the club. Earlier this season, Ward held talks with Luton Town for the then vacant manager's position. So thoughts turn to a successor, and former Rovers favourite Ian Holloway will surely figure high in the board's thinking. But whoever does take over will owe John Ward a debt. A conscientious and affable man, Rovers' loss may yet prove someone else's gain.
Nurses carrying out work traditionally done by doctors could end up being sued. Health experts in Bristol fear confusion over the new responsibilities could leave nurses without the protection of doctors' insurance.
Does this hurt? No. Lovely. Let's try up here. Does this hurt? No.
Nursing practitioner Jane Anderson examines a finger of an 8-year-old boy at Frenchay Hospital. There is a possibility he's broken it. Jane has ordered an X-ray. Until recently, a doctor would have made decisions on how best to treat a patient in Lee's condition. But there are now concerns that these additional responsibilities have not been clearly defined. According to a leading healthcare professor at Bristol University, the new approach leaves nursing staff vulnerable to legal action should anything go wrong.
My worst fears are that in taking on new and challenging roles and doing tasks that need to be done, nurses may be putting themselves at risk. They may be putting themselves at risk in terms of issues about disciplinary actions, about legal cases, and ultimately about perhaps even insurance cases.
Being sued when something goes wrong is a fear of every healthcare worker. A lawsuit can finish a career. Nevertheless, any sensible idea which takes the pressure off young doctors is welcomed with open arms. Derek Tedder, HTV News, Bristol.
A community of monks near Gloucester admitted commercial defeat today and put their world-famous pottery up for sale. Prinash Abbey's been making plates and pots for 50 years.
The cold wind of commercial reality is blowing through Prinash Abbey. Its once money-spinning pottery business has hit the rocks, and the community of Benedictine monks has been forced to make a hard-nosed commercial decision: sell up or close up.
The decision's been taken to look for a buyer for the pottery because of a series of disappointing results financially over the last few years, and the fact that the community currently doesn't have either the management personnel or finance necessary for the reinvestment required.
50 years ago, the white-habited monks used to make the pottery themselves. Nowadays they employ a workforce of local craftsmen and women. Around 30 jobs are at risk if a new buyer isn't found. The Abbey says that a buyer must be found quickly in the next few months. One, it's hoped that it'll keep pottery manufacture in the Abbey grounds and safeguard jobs, maintain the name of Prynich Pottery for years to come. Simon Whitby, HTV News, Gloucestershire.
And finally, HTV was making the headlines today as the longest-serving news anchorman in Britain retired. Bruce Hocken presented his last programme after 30 years fronting the news. Here's how his colleagues sent him off.
Well, Bruce, after that, I thought you could do with a glass of this.
Oh,
someone very old for an awfully long time.
Bruce, it's been a pleasure working with you. Most of us will be back here, I can tell you, to present the programme for you next Monday. But as it's his last programme, we have to leave the last word with Bruce Hocken. Cue Bruce.
What can I say but goodbye and thanks for the memory and thanks to all these folk here who've made it all possible. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good, well done.
Bruce Hocken, 30 years presenting the news today, making it. And our very best wishes to Bruce and his family. That's it. I'll be back with our next news at 1:05 tomorrow. We'll leave you with a look at the weather. From all of us here, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.
HTV weather from the Weather Department.
Hello and good evening. A cold, bright start today. Then it all got a bit grey and windy this afternoon with some sneaky showers around the region. But things are on the mend. The showers will die out tonight and this weekend will be quite nice. It'll be much less windy than the last couple of days, so it'll feel much warmer. It'll be dry and there'll be some sunshine too. Anyway, the latest satellite picture shows clouds stretching across from the North Sea over Britain, and this was responsible for some of those showers we had this afternoon. Staying fairly cloudy with further showers later tonight. These should die out, leaving the rest of the night dry with clearer skies, and winds will ease in the early hours. You may find it a wee bit misty by dawn, a touch of ground frost in a few spots too as temperatures drop to a cold 2 Celsius, that's 36 Fahrenheit. The weekend gets off to a cold but bright start, and it's looking rather pleasant. A dry morning with plenty of sunshine. Some cloud will bubble up later on tomorrow morning, but it shouldn't spoil the afternoon. A little grey in places, but still some sunny spells poking through. The good news is it'll be less windy, so it'll feel much warmer. Temperatures up to 16 Celsius, that's 61 Fahrenheit. Almost bucket and spade weather. So here are the tide times if you're off to the beach. The afternoon there on the left and the early hours there on the right. Well, not much change for Sunday. A bright and sunny morning once again. Then a dry day with a mixture of well-broken cloud and sunshine for you to enjoy in the afternoon. Light winds and warm in the sun. Temperatures 17 Celsius, that works out at 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's the HTV weather forecast. Whatever you're doing, have a great weekend. Good evening. I'll leave you with a summary.
The HTV 7-day weather line 0336 414040.